don't really believe in writer's block, but I do believe in alignment, and I believe in cycles. And I think sometimes I'm just in a cycle where the ideas don't come easily. Or even if I have a lot of ideas, developing them doesn't come easily. And I feel this drive to spend time like tidying my house or answering email, doing things that I might have neglected during periods of peak creativity when the ideas were flowing. And I just felt like there wasn't anything that I could do besides act on those ideas. You know, we have this attitude that a lot of creators are sort of showing up as media companies in some ways, like this idea of consistency. Like, well, you got to post consistently multiple times a day, or the algorithms are going to forget who you are, or your audience is going to forget who you are. And that's sort of unreasonable, especially when you're doing it by yourself, that you don't have a whole team with you. And even if you do have a whole team with you, right, it's still challenging to keep a perpetual level of creativity up and going. So for me, letting go of that has been really important. Letting go of this sense of obligation that I have to show up every single day. It's just not realistic. So I'm in a phase right now that I've come to recognize as part of the cycle where I'm just not feeling it. And I'm drawn to other things. And the magic has been that I'm no longer fighting that. I am showing up to make this video about that whole process, but that's part of it, right? I don't really normally shoot videos like this. I don't usually shoot videos that are horizontal. I don't usually shoot videos where I have minimal cuts and I'm just talking. I'm talking about my own process instead of talking about something that is a distilled observation that is meant to be able to be offered to somebody else for their use. It's not that this isn't useful, but it's just a very different format. And that is kind of what I feel drawn to explore. Not what I've been doing, not what I've been relentlessly pounding at for the past several months, but something different. And there's a balance here where being able to show up as a creative professional, the professional aspect of it is you can't just follow your whims, right? But there does come a point where you want to trust yourself that if I had never created anything or had never been able to be consistent, then I need to follow that advice to learn how to be consistent. But it's almost like I scaled the mountain of consistency and got to the top. And then I want to be strategic. I don't want to be consistent for the sake of being consistent. It's like, what's the point? What am I trying to do with that consistency? And I can't be in both modes at once. If I'm going to be posting 3 times a day, I can't also be standing back and assessing how well that's working for me, how well it's working for my audience, whether it fits into my lifestyle, whether it fits the business strategy that I'm working toward. There has to be a season of sowing and a season of growing and then a season of harvesting and then a season perhaps where the fields lie fallow and it's winter and, well, right now it's spring, but it's sort of the winter of my creativity in some ways. And I know it will come back, just like the spring comes back, to just use a very overused metaphor. And like I said, I'm going to trust that cycle instead of assuming that there's something wrong, that I'm not automatically compelled to create content, or that it feels a little sluggish. Those are the signs I look for that tell me that it's a time to take a break. And it's not predictable, right? It'd be nice if it were. Sometimes it's every few weeks. Sometimes it's after several months. I've been in some cycles where it might have been a year or more. And sometimes it's a few days. I've been in certain types of activities where it was more of a weekly cycle or every few days kind of cycle. I used to call my mom on like a Friday night in college, and just talk about how, yeah, I'm going out, but I don't really want to, and I just feel like everything's falling apart, and things aren't going well, and I don't know if I want to be here. And she'd just be like, it's Friday night. You're tired. You've worked really hard all week. Just give yourself a break. Go out and have fun if you want, or go to bed early if you want. It's okay. You're going to feel better in the morning. And she was always right. And so now, I'm in this cycle where it's been a few months of doing the same thing, working really intensely and really hard. And I'm letting myself take the time. Maybe at some point I'll get to a point of maturity as a media company where the publishing can remain consistent even if I take that kind of break. Even if I'm kind of slowing down for a bit. It's like, well, here's the backstock that I have that I can just keep publishing. But right now, in my current lifestyle, where I'm working with clients, taking care of my toddlers, most of the work that I'm doing is while my kids are sleeping. I have a babysitter, a few hours here and there, like a few hours on this day, a few hours on this day that I can usually count on. But most of it is kind of in the nooks and crannies. And so I don't really have time to do more, like to kind of accelerate, to kind of get ahead, to sort of store my nuts away for the winter. It's, I can sort of do just enough to get by. And that has been a challenge to accept that as well, to think, well, maybe I could just get faster. Maybe I could just push a little harder during a particular time, and then I'd be all set. But when I do that, I just find, again, because so much of this is driven by my own creative impulses, that stuff gets stale. Like if I think, okay, I'm going to do a whole bunch and then I'm going to keep it and publish it later, I start to get pickier about what I'm going to publish. And like I've got these 5 pieces to choose from, and like they're all scheduled out over the next few days, and I just go, I don't want that one. I don't want that one. I'll make something better. And that's part of a cycle too. It's getting a little bit easier as the sort of baseline rises, and I'm sort of more accepting of whatever I come up with, as like, nope, this is what you're going to ship. This is what you're going to publish. This represents what you can do today, and it's fine. It's good enough. But there is that balance there, right? So, yeah. I'm not a media company. At heart, I'm an artist. And I can really push against that and try to not be an artist about it, to try to not be fickle and experimental and have these cycles, or to build around these cycles. But that doesn't represent where I am today. So there might be some future version of me that is able to maintain the level of output that would allow me to be consistent from day to day. It's not where I am today. And in truth, those are external benchmarks. Those are other people's ideas of what you're supposed to do, or algorithm-driven ideas of what you're supposed to do, that are meant to keep you in compliance with what is required of these platforms. And I don't really want to be beholden to the platforms. Again, I want to have the freedom to be able to experiment, and I don't want to burn out. I'm in it for the long haul. And this is work I really enjoy doing. And so certainly there are times where I show up and I don't really want to do it, but I get into it and get into the flow and enjoy it. And other times I know I can't force it. Just too tired, too spent, whether that's physically depleted or emotionally depleted, or sometimes, indeed, creatively depleted. So I don't call it writer's block. It's something deeper, but it's something temporary. And usually it helps me to discover other capacities or revisit other obligations, other things that I've got going on that may have taken a back seat during the intense times of creative expansion. So I hope this will be helpful to some of the creatives out there who are getting a handle on your own process or comparing your process to that of others, and recognizing that there isn't really a wrong way to do it. And as always, if you don't like the results you're getting, you can try things a different way. But so much of this can be so much more expansive and loose, flexible, and forgiving than we might think. Thanks for watching.